5 unbelievable ancient objects ever used. Number 5. Dental key. Dentists back in the day were a little more heavy-handed than those we have today. One of the first specialized dental instruments was the dental key, the forebear to the forceps used today. It first appeared in literature in 1742, although it is expected to have been in use for at least a decade prior to that. The dental key was used to remove infected teeth, thereby preventing infection from spreading in the days before antibiotics were discovered. Called a dental key because it was actually based on the design of a door key, the instrument was inserted into the mouth, with the claw piece being tightened over the tooth in question. The tool was tricky to use and involved a twisting motion to loosen the tooth, often fracturing teeth and leading to further issues down the road. The original design also featured a straight shaft, which caused problems by pressing against adjacent teeth with some force. This was alleviated in future iterations by curving the shaft. The dental key was also known by many other names, including clef de garnigote, Fothergill key, English key, or dimple extractor. The dimple extractor was invented in the 20th century, not long before the dental key was finally made obsolete. Number 4. Sundial. These early time-telling devices consisted of a dial, gnomon, and style, using the position of the sun to accurately work out what time of day it was. The dial was usually a flat plate with a gnomon positioned in the center. The gnomon would then cast a shadow onto the dial, with the style being the notches used to designate specific hours of the day. As the sun moved around the sky, the gnomon's shadow would rest on the corresponding time on the style, making sundials quite accurate when positioned correctly on a sunny day. Other sundials use not a shadow, but a point of light or a line to tell the time, with some of the more advanced examples using a lens or mirror to direct the sun's rays towards the style. We think that sundials were first invented by ancient Egyptians or Babylonians, but have been led to assume that this form of telling the time was probably in use much earlier than 1500 BC. It should be noted here that sundials need to be positioned correctly, with those located in the southern hemisphere being reversed compared to those in the northern hemisphere, and vice versa. Number 3. Icebox. Also known by some as a cold closet, the icebox was one of the first forms of refrigeration and was an incredibly important breakthrough back in its day. Iceboxes predate more modern fridges and were pretty basic in comparison. An icebox consisted of a box that was lined with tin or zinc. It was then packed with insulating material, with a large block of ice placed inside the box. The ice was kept closer to the top of the icebox, allowing cool air to circulate downwards towards storage areas located in the lower portion of the contraption. A drip pan was also included to spirit away any water buildup and help keep things tidy. Enormous blocks of ice were shipped across the world, cut from frozen lakes in huge numbers. Many of these came from northern Canada and were shipped from there. Upon reaching their final destination, these massive blocks were cut up into smaller, more manageable pieces, and later sold to homeowners looking to keep their food cold and fresh. Iceboxes were wildly 20th century, eventually falling out of fashion with the invention of a modern refrigerator. Number 2. Urumi. A weapon used in Indian martial arts, the urumi was a cross between a sword and a whip, often referred to as a steel whip. It was immensely difficult to master, with self-injury being a real threat. The hilt was the same as those used to construct the talwar saber, which was a rigid sword also used around the same time in India, and featured a disc hilt design. The blade itself was undoubtedly the most interesting part of the urumi, and was made from flexible steel. It measured anywhere from 3/4 to 1 inch in width, and was usually the length of the wielder's arm span, which left them being around 4 to 6 feet long. Many urumi actually used multiple blades attached to a single hilt, making this weapon just as menacing as it was hard to master. The Sri Lankan version can include up to 32 blades, with users making use of 2 at the same time, holding 1 in each hand. This also made the urumi a perfect weapon to have when taking on multiple opponents at once, with the user frequently spinning themselves in a bid to control the blades after each swing. Number 1. Jugum ring. The British were undoubtedly pretty prude during the Victorian era, employing all sorts of ill-advised methods to curb feelings of lust. One such device was the jugum ring, also known as a jugum penis. This device included serrated teeth and was meant to be a deterrent to self-gratification. People at the time believed that a potentially debilitating disease, known as spermatoria, was worth looking into. They eventually determined that feelings even of anxiousness were side effects of this disease, which was caused by excessive masturbation. This disease was first mentioned in 1758 by a Swiss doctor and quickly became part of popular culture. The treatment for this disease was the Jugenring, which were basically just serrated metal rings that clipped into the base of the penis, causing extreme agony in anyone who happened to become aroused while wearing one. Even female variants were common back then, with some proponents of spermatoria still claiming it is a real disease even today.